You've seen these tops everywhere. I'm going to show you how to make a reversible one. Let's get into it. You're going to need 3 pieces of fabric that measure half of your bust. So my bust is 36, half is 18, plus seam allowance makes it 19. The length is up to you. I use 7 inches plus seams, so 8 inches. But if you're not too busty, you could get away with 6 or even 5. Just have fun, be yourself. Do the same with your second fabric, then take a ruler and measure about 1 inch from each edge on one piece, tapering up to nothing at the top. This is for fit. Obviously our bodies aren't straight up and down, so this brings in the bottom edge so there's no gap when you tie it. Do this on both ends of one piece and on opposite ends of the 2 front pieces. I penned mine so I knew which is which, and since they gotta be penned anyway. For straps, I measured from the top of my bust to the top of my shoulder and doubled it, which was about 16 inches plus seam allowance. The straps are 1 inch wide, so 2 inches with seams. Cut 2 of each fabric. This step is optional, but it really helps with the overall quality of the piece. Cut 2 pieces of fusible interfacing the same size as the straps and iron it to the wrong side of 2 of the strap pieces. Interfacing really just adds stability in thin fabrics, but if you don't have any on hand or you're working with a thicker fabric like cotton, feel free to skip this altogether. Once you've done that, or not, pin 1 strap of each fabric right sides together and sew down both of the long ends, leaving the shorter ends open. If you need to take your time here, please do. It doesn't matter if it's not cut perfectly straight, but you gotta sew it straight. I chose to pink the seams, but you don't have to. No one will see them. Turn your straps outside out using a safety pin. Just pin it on one end through one layer and dive down into the tube, pushing it along until it comes out the other end. It might take a little finessing if it's your first time, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. This is the easy part. Pin each of the angled sides of your front pieces to the angled sides of the back pieces and sew. Do this with each fabric. Again, I pinked my seams, but you don't have to. No one will see them. Now you have 2 long pieces. Take one and lay it face up. Measure from the side seam and clip where you want your straps to be. I recommend 1/3 of the way in, so on mine, 6 inches. Make sure the straps aren't twisted when you pin them to the front with the same fabric facing the same fabric. Then pin all the way along, matching the seams up very carefully. In addition to pinning and clipping, I used what's called quilter's tape. When using slippery fabrics, I really like to use this. It's just a double-sided tape that's meant for fabric. It really makes it so that everything is a little more stable. It doesn't slip around, especially with something as long and tedious as this. Sew all the way around, going slowly to make sure everything matches up. Leave a 2 to 3 inch gap somewhere along the bottom. If you forget this step, just unpick it, but it helps a lot if you don't have to. Clip your corners as close to the stitching as possible without cutting the stitching. Now turn it through the hole. Push the corners out with a pencil or your nail. Just make sure they're crisp. It helps to press the seams like this, with them sort of next to each other, and then to fold it and press it properly. Just trust me, it makes it easier. Once it's all pressed, sew your gap closed. I forgot to film that part, but it should look like this, just as close to the edge as possible. And then, voila! You've got 2 tops in 1. If you like my fabrics, or you don't intend to make one of your own, be sure to check out my sample shop where I have this and more listed. And be sure to tag me on Instagram, #MadeByLaken, to show me any of your pieces that you made inspired by this tutorial. Thanks for watching.